This is Indiana's News Center Now on NBC 33.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Linda Jackson. Appreciate you tuning into News Now every weekend here on Channel 33. This is our opportunity as a community to learn about some really great organizations. We call it a community affairs program because that's what it is. And hopefully we can learn together about the Fort Wayne Center for Learning. And my guests this time around are the Executive Director, Kenn Kunze, as well as Stephanie Schultz, and she is in charge of the big annual fundraiser called the Brain Game. If you've never heard about it, you are in for a treat. This is one fantastic event. As fundraisers go, I mean, it's more than that. It's so much more than that, in my opinion. But can you tell I'm a fan? I am. I want to welcome both of you. Welcome you back.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for being here. Really, really. We take this opportunity with this program to have a lot of nonprofit organizations on so we can toot horns. And so before we begin doing that, if you would explain your connections to the Fort Wayne Center for Learning and your jobs.
Absolutely. I started out as a parent at the Fort Wayne Center for Learning. My daughter was one of the first students through the door, and she made such dramatic improvements in her ability to read in just a short period of time that I became deeply committed and volunteered on the board for several years and helped Stephanie when she decided to start the Brain Game as our signature fundraiser. And then just recently, bounced into the position as executive director.
And I like the way you put that, Ken.
I don't know how I got here.
But,
I do.
You
never know exactly where you're going to end up, and I think it is because I'm so passionate about the cause. It just feels good to be able to be involved in something that's so helpful to so many children.
Well said. Well said. Stephanie, your turn.
Yeah, I'm on the board of directors. I'm purely a volunteer, not like Ken. I didn't bounce into that position. But the board does feel incredibly grateful to have Ken in that position just because he is passionate. He's not just someone we went out and hired to run the office, and we know it's in good hands with him there. But my main position on the board is resource development and planning the fundraising event.
And you have many hats in taking care of this Brain Game event. I know you wear several of them, don't you?
Yes, kind of the main coordinator, but I have a big team of volunteers that are very competent and very excited about the event, so it's great fun to work with them.
Well, we are going to come back and we're going to talk, first of all, about the Center for Learning. It does great things, let me just put it that way. And then we'll come back again and talk about the Brain Game and the combination of a really fun event coupled with some really difficult questions, okay?
And a good cause.
And a great cause, that goes unsaid, but we need to say it anyway. We'll be right back, everybody. Welcome back, everyone. This is News Now. I'm Linda Jackson, and very much want to thank you for being with us. We're talking about the Fort Wayne Center for Learning. It is a wonderful, wonderful place. And the #1 fundraiser each year for this organization is something called the Brain Game. My guests are Kenn Kunze. He's the Executive Director, as well as Stephanie Schultz, and she's a member of the board and coordinates the Brain Game each year. So we'll get to the Brain Game in just a few minutes, but let's talk about this Fort Wayne Center for Learning. Why come up with something like this? How long has it been around, Ken?
Well, we're in our 4th year, and we started as a result of a need of a family that had the ability to go out and seek that need in a larger city. The Rifkin family, the Omnisource family, had a need for their child and found that service, the service that we now provide in Fort Wayne, in Indianapolis. And it's such an intensive one-on-one program that the family had to move there. They moved the mother and the son to Indianapolis for a long period of time during the intensive program. And when they came back to Fort Wayne, the family decided that they'd like to continue those services here, but also to be able to provide something that you only find in large cities to the city of Fort Wayne, and that's intensive one-on-one instruction for children with processing disorders and in this case on a not-for-profit basis, because as far as we know, we are the only not-for-profit that provides this particular service in the nation.
It's amazing, too, what you can accomplish there with these children. They have these special needs, and this is a place where they can go to have those needs met. You have very specific needs for your staff. Talk
Absolutely.
about that.
We test our staff much the same way we test the children that they're going to serve to make sure that they don't have any of the processing disorders, because some very successful people are still held back by some of these processing disorders in a very minimal way. And so we test our staff to make sure that they don't have those. And then, of course, they're all college educated, and they're all trained very carefully in our processes, which are mostly led by the Lindemood-Bell process. Educators would know that the Lindemood-Bell process really stands out as a way of taking care of processing disorders. But at the same time, we've added a lot of other programs that aren't available at some of the Lindemood-Bell centers that you'll find throughout the nation. And so I think we have something very unique there as well, in the fact that we're pulling different programs together and making dramatic differences in children's lives.
You have the opportunity to meet one-on-one with these children at this center. You have a strong personal connection, though, that got you started. Talk about your daughter, her needs, and how they were met through the center.
Well, Emily went to the center in the 9th grade, and she was reading at the 1st grade reading level at that time due to an undetermined processing disorder. And in just a 3-month period of time, she was able to gain 2 years of reading experience.
Wow.
And then continued to improve over time. The folks at the Fort Wayne Center for Learning, which at that time I was just a board member, also got involved in helping her to study for her driver's test at the Indiana License Bureau, and she passed that, and now she's working. She's graduated from high school, and she's working at one of our local hospitals in food service, and she's going to be independent, and that's because of, in my opinion, very much because of the Fort Wayne Center for Learning.
And you brought with you a couple other stories today. I know you wanted to talk about a couple of students who have received such special care as well.
I thought that my daughter had an amazing story until I started to find out some more about the children that are there. And it's so enjoyable. Every day somebody bounces into my office with a report. I passed my I-steps for the first time. And all my grades went up. And we reward them, you know, and that's kind of the fun part of my job. And I did bring a couple children that I'd like to tell you a little bit about specifically, because I think that's the best way to demonstrate what goes on there. There was a young lady, a little girl actually, 6 years old, came to the center, and she didn't know the names of any of the letters, nor could she associate any of the sounds with those letters at 6 years old. And so therefore her sessions were very difficult, and that is one of the features of our program, is that it's so intensive that it's very difficult. And in fact, sometimes she found it easier to be oppositional than to actually do the performance that we were asking her to do. But we didn't give up, and she didn't give up, and she made dramatic improvements. Went from the 13th to the 90th percentile in her ability to recognize the sounds associated with letters.
Wow.
And you know, 25 to 75% is considered normal, so she went from way below normal to way above normal in that time period. And she's our best spokesman. I have some notes here of some things that she said. Shortly after attending her intensive program, she told her mom, "I don't like learning to read and write, but I do love to read." And then just last Monday, she came in and told one of the instructors, "If I came here for school, I'd learn to read a lot faster."
I love it.
And today she sung out. And the instructor says, "I know she meant it because she was singing it. I love spelling."
Oh, really?
And to see when the light comes on for these children,
that's amazing.
From the time that everybody's able to do this, but I can't, and the emotions that causes, to the point where I can, and that's when it gets exciting.
Well, I know why you get involved and stay involved. And Stephanie, why are you involved with the Fort Wayne Center for Learning? Okay. That's a great story, Ken.
It is. Actually, just a friend of mine who's very involved with the center asked me to be on the board. I had been involved in some other community activities and was kind of successful with those. And they said, you know, we need some passion and some activism on the board and kind of get some things going. And they expanded the board to make room for me and Ken actually at the same time. That's great. And so once I've been there though, and then seen the difference it makes in the kids' lives, once you see that, it's easy to stay involved and stay excited.
I bet. And I know funding is necessary to keep the quality people on staff that you have. So how is that handled? Everybody at home probably wonders.
Well, all of our children receive some sort of assistance. The actual cost of our services exceeds the highest program fees that we have. And last year we helped 43 students, and some of them at absolutely no cost to the family. And so we are able to provide scholarships to the students through the funds that are received. And that's from very generous individual contributors, from grants, from foundations in the community, and from our big signature fundraiser. It was very successful last year, raising $90,000.
And obviously, there are ways people can get involved. They can get involved with Brain Game. They can get involved with sending a check, and we'll have all the contact information that you need. But let's talk more about some of the families who may need your services. Are they referred to you? Do they call you up and say, hey, I think my daughter or son could really use your help? And then are they integrated as well into another classroom at the same time they learn from the center?
Yes.
Okay.
Some of the families are just learning about us now, and that's absolutely the best part about the Brain Game, besides raising some money, is we spread the word about what we do, and there are people out there that need help. And if they know that their child has more abilities than their performance shows, a lot of times that's related to a processing difficulty, because you know your child's smart, but it just doesn't come out the way they had hoped. And so that's how it's word of mouth. People who have had success in our programs, or people who need success in their lives, come to us to find out. And then we do our testing. We're not going to try to provide the services for the people that don't have the types of disorders that we can help.
Gotcha.
We know where we fit in the education community, and we test the children and make sure that they have the needs that we can fulfill. Then they come for their very intensive programs. In some cases, that means that they're not in the school system at all during that time. So a lot of time that's done during the summertime. Some parents choose to pull their children out of school for that period of time, and others participate in a half-day program. And that's what my daughter did at the time. She went to school for a part of a day and came to the center for a part of a day. We work with the school systems and the parents to provide these services, and that's the key, because even though I described some of the benefits of a very intensive program, most of the children have their best successes after they've been able to utilize these things for a while, and then they make big leaps and bounds long after they've left our program. Wow.
Options. Families have options, and you provide them. It's amazing. Volunteers, are they needed for the center and the help, the work that is done on a daily basis there?
Actually, all of our instruction is done on a daily basis, is done by paid professionals that we carefully select and do that thing. We do have a few tasks, though, that need to be done, and we do have some people that come in on a regular basis and participate in some way on a voluntary basis.
Gotcha.
Even some of our parents have chosen, while they're waiting for their child, to participate in helping us stuff envelopes or those kind of things. So certainly, if anybody has a heart to help the Fort Wayne Center for Learning, and maybe their wallet isn't where they're able to give, we certainly have ways that you can participate in what's going on.
Well said. I know too, though, when the Brain Game rolls around, and you have your staff and your volunteers pretty much in place for this year's event, but you don't have the teams all together, so we will talk about that. Hello, all you smarty pants out there. Come on over. It would not be me. But you do have an opportunity for volunteers during the Brain Game, right?
We have lots of needs for volunteers during the Brain Game. In fact, I had some girlfriends over for a birthday party a couple of weeks ago and roped in 5 people that night to help the night of the event. Amy, Sally, no.
Name them all.
And so they wanted to be involved, but they really, they didn't have the time or the availability to help for weeks like a lot of the volunteers do. But they said, give us anything to do that night, we'll round up people, crowd control, whatever. And so I've got them slotted in and have something for them to do. So there's always ways you can help with an event of this size.
When you see some of the things that Ken was touching on happen, how does it make your heart feel?
Well, it makes it feel like that the time we put into doing this is worthwhile. It's so much fun to be involved in something and then be able to see the results of it, besides just knowing you raised money. You know, to be able to see it and see the kids that benefit from the center. It's really gratifying.
Well, we try to share that at the Brain Game every year. We try to put on a presentation that lets you know where these dollars are going and really show an example of the work that's done there.
We've got a few more minutes left, so after the break, we're going to come back and talk about that Brain Game event. Great. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. We're talking about the Fort Wayne Center for Learning and the upcoming Brain Game fundraiser with Kenn Kunze and Stephanie Schultz. Again, you guys, thanks for being here. February 23rd, 6 p.m. at the Grand Wayne Center. If you're not there, hello, really, be there at B Square, right, Steph?
That's right. We always try and bill the brain game as the most fun you'll ever have at a charitable event. You've been there. Does it live up to it?
It's pretty much true. Hello.
That's fun. Well, when we first started to come up with a fundraising event for the center, we had two goals in mind. One was to raise funds, obviously, and to raise awareness. But then we also wanted to make it fun and different because, you know, there's so many charitable events out there and things that you go to. You have to kind of get a, you know, a catch to get people, get people interested. And so the brain game idea we came up with is kind of a corporate trivia challenge was how we started out billing the event. And it's based on knowledge, which ties into the center and learning, and so it makes sense. But we'll get people excited about being involved, then they want to come back. We have several teams that have been repeat. They're coming up on our third year now. We have some big sponsors that have been back several years.
And we appreciate them so much.
That's right. Barrett McNagny, attorneys, and OmniSource and Chase Bank are all our top level sponsors.
Excellent.
And then we have 4 more Genius sponsors, and then we have 9 this year of the lower tier scholar sponsors, including a firm from Indianapolis that has a tie to the center that's coming up to sponsor.
How many teams do you have in place right now?
We have 31.
And how many do
as
you
of this
hope to
morning?
have?
We can have up to 48 this year. We've had 32 and 36 the first 2 years respectively.
And you truly have, and there's some file video, the winning team from a couple years ago, ladies and germs. Melissa Long, Curtis Smith.
Medium division champions.
Yes, oh yeah. They had such a good time, and I know Nicole Pence and Jessica Tamani were on the team last year and had a great time. And it is about having fun, but these questions are not always easy. Hello, they are not.
Well, but the
Kenn,
thing is,
Kunze, you know they're not. You're the host with the most, and you know they're not easy.
You do not have to be smart to come
Yes,
and have
you
a good time. No, you don't. And but the fun part is that we thought, you know, we're just doing this for fun. We knew people would take it seriously, and there is that little undercurrent of competition. And Design Collaborative is our 2-time Brain Game champion, and they're coming back to defend.
Twice.
Well, we're going to pay a visit, I think, soon and just find out how they prepare for this. How do the teams prepare? Do they get encyclopedias out and start reading, or what?
I think the biggest preparation is getting their costume ready, because we give 6 final round positions to teams that win preliminary divisions.
Got it.
And they have to be smart. But it's not all about being smart.
No, I know it's not. In all seriousness, you have to dress the part.
If you look good and you have the best costume, we might put you in the final round.
That's a change for this year.
Okay. And another change too is you had some fundraising of the teams.
Well, we're inspired by a team last year, a team from OmniSource, the Scrap Fairies.
Yes,
that were all decked out in pink hard hats. They were awesome.
Who can forget?
They got so excited about the event that they went around the Friday before the event and collected money. And they're like, you know, look at us. Here's our outfits. We're awesome. We wanted to collect money for the brain game. So they showed up and made their contribution in their effort toward being best dressed. And so we're going to do something kind of similar this year, kind of a pep rally kind of thing, and we'll offer people, once their team is in place, to go around and tell people about the event and what they're doing, kind of get sponsors, bring their money to the game. So if you're not smart enough to get out of the preliminary round and you're not the best dressed, you could be the most generous and still maybe get there.
I love it. Now here's the information you need to know. And you can be a bridge club, you know, members of a bridge club, gals who go to lunch. You don't have to be a company. Families, great idea. Brain Game is February 23rd. 6 p.m. at the Grand Wayne Center. Here's the information you need to know. The Center for Learning is 3310 Mallard Cove Lane in Fort Wayne. Is the address, 46804. The number is 469-3925. And www.fwcl, which coincides with the phone number, .org is the website. It's an excellent website, refurbished, brand new in November. So everything you need to know is there. If you want to help out in any way throughout the year, get involved in the Brain Game. We still need some teams available. We'll be there, the host with the most and his sidekick. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Guys, thanks for being here. Good luck.
Thanks for having us.